Welcome to the Franchise Founders Podcast, where you'll hear right from the source how people like you have been able to buy and build their businesses across different industries all over the country. Dan Claps is the co-founder of Career Transition Leads, Nurture Assist, and Find a Business Online. Christian Dadulak is a franchise consultant with Find a Business Online, and he heads up business development for Career Transition Leads and Nurture Assist. He also runs an independent franchise consulting business, The Franchise Guys. Together, they formed relationships with hundreds of successful business owners who are excited to share their stories with you. Now here are your hosts, Dan and Christian.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Franchise Founders Podcast. Dan Claps here with my co-host, Christian Dadulak. And we've got some special guests on today with Deniz, Duygulu, and Carlton, Washington, the co-founders of Forever Young Anti-Aging Solutions. How you guys doing today?
Excellent, thank you.
I'm very excited to have you on today's episode, our next episode, and just give a quick backstory to our listeners, the story of Forever Young. The journey began with the desire to support health and wellness at every age. Forever Young was established in 2014 with the opening of its first location in Boca Raton, Florida, but its roots actually go much deeper. Founders Deniz, Duygulu, and Carlton, Washington's personal fitness and health journeys opened their eyes to a gap in conventional medicine. And they realized that conventional medical care wasn't structured to proactively support people striving to become the healthiest, best versions of themselves, no matter what their age. And that's when they decided to build a new kind of clinic from the ground up, dedicated to anti-aging medicine, one that would be committed to helping people support their vitality now and in the future as Forever Young. So thank you guys for being on again.
Thank you for having us.
All right. I think a good natural place to start is just to get some backgrounds on both of you and how you guys got into this industry. How you guys met would be cool to know as well. So Deniz, why don't you start us off?
All right. Yeah. So again, thanks for having us, guys. My background was I've always been in kind of health wellness. I was a personal trainer for many years, had my own training business, kind of working in country clubs and nice high-end resorts. I was at the time, right before we opened Forever Young, with my coaching business. Carlton was kind of pointed in my direction, and he had like a bucket list thing to do, that he wanted to get on a fitness competition, and so he hired me as his coach. I got him all lean and real fit and stuff, and then that's the way we met. And when we met, we started kind of like bouncing ideas off of each other. We were patients of many of the services that we offer, as far as hormone replacement, IV therapy. We're using many different vitamins and supplements, doing blood work. But we saw this void in the industry where there was really no place to go to get all these services under one roof. And that's kind of how Forever Young was born. So in 2014, we decided, hey, let's do this. We put together our medical staff. And, some of the staff that we brought on, they brought the aesthetics on, and they said, hey, we can kind of kill two birds with one stone here. We're here to do, wellness, but we're trained in aesthetics like Botox and fillers. And, so we can add those services to the menu as well. And we're like, oh, great. It'd be great to have the med spa aspect in the wellness center that we wanted to create. So we kind of refer to ourselves as vitality centers. We're not a med spa. We do have many of the same services, but we are all about vitality.
Awesome. And Carlton, tell us about yourself and your background as well.
Yeah. So I always like talking about this because people assume, I think with our business, a lot of times that Deniz and I were went to kindergarten together or best friends or for life. And truth of the matter is I just moved into town that January. And I think I met Deniz maybe late February, early March. The reason, my personal reason for getting into the business was just, desperation and depression. I moved here to be with my wife, who got a job promotion, and I was very comfortable in Atlanta. And, but I had to kind of come down, support her. She'd always supported me. And so I came down, and I had to take a job to get down here I really didn't like. And I was working in banking, insurance, real estate for most of my career. I really thought I had gotten out of that lane. And then I came back here and had to start all over again. And so I hated what I was doing. Most of what we do is pissing people off in the banking industry. And so instead of doing that every day, going home with, your head down, I figured, hey, I'd rather either A, be a waiter a bartender or something like that, or try to help people, at anything but outside of the bank. And so I figured, hey, let's give this a shot. The hormone replacement at changed my life at a section, where an intersection where a lot of our peers are either going to the left or the right as you're approaching 30. You got some guys that are, still hitting it hard. And then you got those people that start to slump off, and testosterone therapy and some of the wellness services really changed my life and helped me go to the right instead of to the left, where a lot of my peers were going, and that didn't look too attractive. And so figured, this is something that we're passionate about. Let's give it a go and see what happens. And that's really, a lot of the motivation. And that's what we've been doing now for 8 years is helping people. That's why we're still here. It's probably one of the longest things I've ever committed to in my life. And it's because there's a lot of value what we do. It feels good. And we see results in the community speaks highly of what we do, because, people are coming here for answers and they're leaving with solutions, and it feels good. So that's kind of how I got into the business. And then that kind of coincides with what Deniz told you in regards to how we met.
I love that. So something that I think would be interesting to know about as well, obviously taking something from an idea, because everyone and their mom has a good idea. I think ideas are abundant. They're not at all scarce. Everyone has an idea. And I get people telling me about their ideas all the time, and that's all great, fine and dandy, but really the magic is in the execution and actually getting it done. So Deniz, can you tell us a little bit about what it was like to get that first location open, some of the challenges you went through? What was that process like from taking it from this idea and then really implementing it and getting that first location open?
Yeah. I mean, I think we both were at in a place in our lives where it was like, we're going to go 100% into something and make it work no matter what. I knew for myself, I can't be a personal trainer, just training clients one-on-one forever. So I really wanted to kind of evolve into something else. And so when Carlton and I started kind of bouncing these ideas off each other, I was like, this is it. I'm going in 100%. Some of the challenges, I mean, the biggest one for me was always, we were way undercapitalized. With franchising now, when you look at the item 7, it's so detailed now. I mean, that was like a weak spot for me, where I was like, this has to be perfect, because we got into it not knowing how much money we needed. And, we very quickly ran out of money and then had to take loans and things like that. But that was a big challenge for us. Really not knowing, we're not doctors, we're not medical professionals, so not really understanding everything that comes along with that, with compliance and things like that. So all things we learned over time, that we hand all that over to our franchisees now, so that's probably what sticks out to me in my mind the most.
That's what really stands out to me about your model as well, right? That you're not doctors, you're able to build a business and run it, and your franchisees are able to come into that business and run the day-to-day without being a doctor. Curious of how you came up with the name. It's a great name, very well positioned. Is there a story to the name?
I think Carlton actually came up with it. He can tell you how he came up with it, but I remember he just like throw stuff out at me. And I remember him saying like Forever Young, and I was just like, that's it. And then we were both like, yes. I mean, I don't know how he came up with it, but that's how I
throwing a lot of stuff at the wall and just trying to do something that made sense, that felt good coming out of your mouth. I mean, we've probably said Forever Young probably 3 million times in the last 8 years, and you want something that just flows off. And so it hit. I mean, when we started the business, a lot of time was taken just kind of throwing things back and forth, and the logo and the name. But I think the name came easier than the logo. The logo took a while. The logo was like, okay, let's change this, let's change that. Even when we agreed on the logo, then the color changed, 6-7 months later to what it is now. And so just a lot of back and forth, collaborating, asking the person next to you, hey, you like this, you don't like this, how does that sound? And so just a lot of collaboration, throwing things back and forth, and it stuck and it hit right out the gate. Not necessarily the most, I don't know. It's not the rarest title. I mean, people, there's songs Forever Young and things of that nature, but it just fit our business and it rolls off the tongue and it worked. So, and it lined up perfectly with the logo. So,
yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So you guys handle everything from, you're helping people to look good. You're helping them to feel good. You got that first location open. You had some pretty great success. It seemed like you guys had some pretty success somewhat quickly. So what made you guys decide to franchise? When did franchising become a part of the conversation? Dennis, you want to take that one?
Sure. So we always, like, once we got going, all we ever like talked about from then on was like, we want to be like a household name. Like, we want to be nationwide. There's certain brands you think of like in different industries, like boutique fitness, like Orange Theory pops up, right? Or like Massage Envy, European Wax. Like, we've always wanted to be that household name in this industry. No one's done that yet for this industry. And I think we probably have a good head start on most. But so, kind of thinking about it and saying, how can we get there as fast as possible? Franchising kind of popped up. Somebody introduced us to it. We started like really researching and digging into it. And we were like, I think this is it. I mean, we have this business as far as the four-wall experience, we have it figured out. And, we figured, I think we'd be really good at teaching others how to do this and run this business, because it seems pretty easy from the outside, which it's not a very difficult business, but there's a lot of things that there's a lot of mistakes you're going to make at the beginning that could cost you even your entire business, which, we learned the hard way. So, teaching franchisees that is pretty easy for us to do now.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of people, they'll ask, why am I paying a franchise fee? Why am I paying a royalty? Well, you mentioned that in the beginning, you didn't know how much this was all going to cost, how much money it was going to require. And oftentimes it's in excess of what you thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. And to have the franchisee to come in with a business in a box, exactly what the range is going to look like, what the upper end, what the lower end of the investment will look like. And you have people like the two of you that can coach them, and you have an infrastructure to coach them on how to not make those mistakes that could really cost them in the beginning. So I think that's amazing. I think that's important for the audience to take into consideration, that there's a benefit really to, not having to go through all the blood, sweat, and tears and trial and error that these two have already been through.
Yeah.
Anything you wanted to add, Carlton?
To comment on that, Christian, that's the main reason why you'd want to buy into a Forever Young. The being transparent, the truth of the matter is, this industry is exploding, and you can go and open up a mom and pop or your own, med spa or vitality center by yourself. You can go do that. But the truth of the matter is like Dennis was saying, although we don't consider this to be a laborious or hard business, it's the details that will get you. And so to pay, $500,000 or $600,000 to get that head start out the gate in your business, to move with confidence and to remove mistakes and move efficiently is worth it, because I can tell you we paid well over that in mistakes over the years. So we consider it to be a $1 million or $1.5 million discount to purchase a franchise. The industry is extremely competitive, and so you need to start with some support. Even if you don't go with Forever Young, I would not advise anyone these days to go into the med spa vitality space without a franchise or some type of support system, because the truth of the matter is those days are gone. We and some others in this industry have pioneered, 8 years ago, prior to all the new, brands that have come out and different pieces of the industry. And we feel as though that window is closed now. And so now what you're seeing is competition and efficiency and moving forward. And so people are much better moving within those systems than they are alone. There's strength in numbers, whether you're talking about pricing, compliance support, operational support, marketing, any of those things. There's much more strength in numbers than there is alone. And so I think those days are over. And so again, being transparent, there's other franchises maybe you could look at, but you need some type of support system, and you probably need to pick the best one for you in terms of what you feel comfortable with, and really a brand that you believe in. And so that's something that we really feel strongly about. And we feel that our brand story, and what we offer is the main separator from anyone else that's offering people to get into this space right now.
Yeah. I mean, just to piggyback on that, I mean, like, I tell franchisees all the time, if someone says, hey, well, why can't I just do this on my own? Well, why would you do it on your own with no support? Then the question is, oh, well, there's all this cost, right? Well, $60,000 franchise fee. Well, our website costs more than that. So if you're going to go open your own mom and pop, you're going to spend a ton of money on a website, right? Well, you don't have to do that anymore. And then, there's a 7% royalty. Well, the discounts you're going to be getting being in our group on your products, it pays for the royalty itself, So like there's literally no reason why you would want to try to figure this out on your own and start from scratch and make all the mistakes. It just doesn't make any sense. I say to Carlton all the time, if when we were starting this, somebody said, hey, should check these guys out and you could probably just franchise from these guys, we would have done it, because like we didn't know what we were doing. We just knew we wanted to get into this business. So, I mean, it just, like you said, we do try to make it as much as possible a business in a box.
We were just on yesterday for an episode where I was talking about how being an entrepreneur that starts a business from scratch is like flying an airplane in fog. Like you can't see anything. You're just kind of figuring your way, and or if you compare it to flying to instrument grade, I don't know the exact term, but where you're going direct, clear path to get to where you want to be. In your system, you have a blueprint, you have a plan, they just follow it, and you've made all those mistakes. So that's great. So you guys, working together, seem like you have a great partnership, different strengths and weaknesses that balance each other out. Christian and I, we had a chance to watch that Money Court episode, which was really interesting. Could you talk to us about that? How did you get involved in that? And it obviously blew Kevin O'Leary away with your presentation.
Well, it's funny, man. A funny story about that is, first of all, I tell people it's crazy. We get bombarded with email and a lot of spam, and you never know what's real and what's fake. And so a lot of weird opportunities have come through email. First and foremost, we thought it was a scam at first when we got the email about that, because they found us from California. But backing up to that, we tried to be casted for Shark Tank in 2014. They told us we were too boring, we're too like calm in the video, not dramatic enough or whatever, and they looked us over. And so 2021 came around, got an email, and they're like, Kevin O'Leary's doing a new show. We're interested in your business. Like, how the hell did you find us? We thought it was like, a Nigerian prince type of email or something. And it turned out to be legit. And so we debated on whether or not that was bad for our brand or not, to get on there. And at the end, kind of took a line from Donald Trump and, hey, there's no such thing as bad publicity. Let's just do it and see what happens. And so next thing you know, we're on screen with Kevin O'Leary and pitching this. And, we didn't know which direction. It was a legit show. We didn't know which direction they were going to go. And him digging into the business, I mean, he picked the decision he made, which was fine, because either way we won. And we actually took the advice, and we did not leave franchising, but we also looked at being a hybrid model. And it allowed us to show people that we actually do believe in our business, not just to franchise it to people, but we actually bought another one and opened a new corporate store that we just launched and is very successful here in Parkland, Florida, which was a new market for us. So that's kind of how that went down. It was an email from someone that found us in California with a great opportunity. And after that, we were able to meet with Kevin, which has had some lasting impacts on our business today, the way we look at our business, the way we're doing business, and has taken our business to the next level. So,
I mean, what was that like, Dennis, when you guys mentioned you were able to get some lunch with Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary? What was that like? What kind of tips, anything you can share, but what kind of tips did he give you guys? I mean, I think that would be valuable for everyone to hear.
Honestly, talking to a guy like that, you hear him on Shark Tank. It's like everything he thinks about is that bottom line. It's like, how can I make more money? How can I turn this much money into this much money? So when you like sit around him and you just listen to him, it's just like, it's almost like you start thinking like, I'm not thinking big enough. Like I'm never thinking big enough. Like, we got into this thinking like, oh, we want to start this cool company with one location. And he's like talking about like, do 100. Like, we're like, we're just not thinking big enough, So, it just kind of puts it in perspective of like, there's always more you could be doing. There's always more money to be earned. Like, you just got to get creative. That's probably what I took away from it. And on the show, he told us open more corporate stores, because obviously, it makes sense. There's like, we keep all that revenue for ourselves. So, when he said that, we were like, okay, this makes sense. Like, let's do that.
Yeah, he really liked that on television. There was no difference, kind of like Deniz was saying. And other thing is, he's kind of like a no BS kind of guy, no excuses. So he's like, hey, like, I don't care if you're tired, like, we're gonna do this. I don't care if I don't care. Like, if you want to be successful, this is what you're gonna do. If you don't, you don't belong in the room. And that was definitely felt in the conversations, and appreciated, because it what you see is what you get on the television screen, and that really does apply behind the scenes of the business. The next moves in our business will probably for things that able, and so it's had a lasting impact. And the people that we were put in the room with were people we would never be able to get in the room with by ourselves. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. First of all, I got to say I'm jealous, because I'm a big fan of Kevin O'Leary. I think he's so direct that he can maybe turn some people off, but I appreciate that level of directness. And I think that's a great lesson. Thinking bigger. You can never think too big. You really can't. You can always go bigger. There's always a bigger fish, always the next thing to go after. I did want to come back very quickly to the model a little bit, because I know that obviously you had mentioned, Carlton, that the med spa space is blowing up. I think a lot of people know that, and they ask, why don't I do this myself? Or why don't I go with some other type of brand? And from a consumer standpoint, like, let's say someone is thinking about franchising with you guys, but they're thinking, man, there's a flood of competition coming into this market. Isn't it saturated, or on the way to getting super saturated? How do you stand out? What's the big differentiator? What separates your brand from a lot of the other med spas that are out there? And I've heard you guys, or at least your team, refer to you almost as, you're not a med spa. You're almost like the anti-med spa. So tell us about that. What separates you from all these other med spas that are out there? And why does the consumer want to go to you guys? And then why should someone franchise with you guys?
Good question. We are the anti-med spa. And again, just coming off the Kevin O'Leary comment, that is also something that he taught and speaks about, is this is a war. Honestly, that's literally verbatim what he states. This is a war, especially in our industry right now. The competition is through the roof, but the competition is good, because the manufacturers are bringing more and more patients into our industry. They're bringing more eyes to our industry, and these services are not a fad or a trend. They're now looked at as a necessity. So somebody is going to buy these services from someone in your town. It's just, who are they going to go to and who's the best? We feel as though we're positioned to be the best, because we are coming with a brand story that is different than anyone else's. We have completely bootstrapped our operations and built this business from the ground up. So we know every single square inch of this business inside and out, from our operations, our marketing, our community engagement, our compliance, our products and services, through and through. And we're actually people who use these services. We are patients before we are business owners. And so we do not believe in people who do not use their services, who do not represent the lifestyle of the services and products that they offer. Here at Forever Young, we take it very seriously. And so our team, our founders do. We want to look the part, we want to be the part, we want to feel the part. And that is what you get with Forever Young. You get authenticity, you get legitimacy, and you get integrity in business. And that's something that's lacking in our industry right now. You have a lot of people that want to get into this business because it looks cool, it looks cute, it looks pretty. But the truth of the matter is, it takes a lot of hard work. And so we're the drivers for that hard work within our industry, within our franchise, and we're pushing our people to do the best that they can. And so if you want to open up a store by yourself, that is fine. But like Kevin O'Leary said, you're going to go to war with a couple of people in the industry who are extremely aggressive, very hungry, never had investors, came from nothing. And that goes a long way. And so that's what we're really transmitting to our franchisees, is that attitude of when they go into a territory, to attack the territory in a good way, which means bringing excellent customer service to the industry and to their community, supporting their community, not just by asking for people to buy from them, but also engage in their community, volunteering in their community, helping people feel better and look better, and making their community a better place. I think that's something that's not stressed in a lot of other models. Our pricing is second to none. We want to make Forever Young available and accessible to everyone, not just people who are fluent. And so these are all things that you'll find throughout our brand that make us really good at what we do and set us apart, way apart from everybody else that's in this space right now. Deniz is different than myself. We contrast, and those contrasts bring strength to our business. And it's backed up by the support of our operations team and our corporate offices that live and breathe what we do. And we believe that we have the hardest working people and team supporting us. And so when you buy a franchise from somebody, you're getting married and you want them to deliver and you want to make sure that they're vested in your success. I think you'll find that here with Forever Young. It's not just about money for us. You know, we're here for something else. We're here to build a legacy brand and to be number one in our space. And so I think that really is going to feel different when someone enters this space than with someone that's just, you know, out to make a quick buck off of them for a fee or get a fee, bring you into something shiny and pretty, and then leave you with no support. We lose sleep over supporting our franchisees, and we want to make sure that they're doing just as well as we are.
I love that. I think it's important to consider that competition isn't bad. Competition is good. The cream rises to the top. And at the end of the day, competition means there's demand. It means that there's demand in the market and people want the service. So I think that's fantastic. Dan, anything you wanted to add there or any questions?
No, I really appreciate everything we've gone over. It's a great concept. Congratulations on everything you guys have built so far and the direction that you're going. I couldn't agree more on the thinking bigger component. I've been in that position where someone, you know, you're proud of where you are and someone further along kind of says, hey, it's really not, you could do more. And then you go back and you keep grinding until you get to that next stage. So we're excited to see you guys get to your 1,000 units or whatever the goal is. But thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.